I give up. That's it. That's my theme for this Lent. And isn't that the theme for every Lent for all of us? We give up our time so that we can pray more, be more generous to the poor, and fast more regularly. But in actuality, Lent is asking us to give up something far deeper, and I literally mean deeper. It's what the prophet Joel in our first reading means when he says, "Rend your hearts, not your garments, and return to the Lord." We're called to give up our heart. In other words, our will. In the scriptures, the heart is the depth of your being, the very center of you, where you live, where you make decisions, where you will to do or not do something. And ideally, it's where God dwells within you and lives on the throne. But so often in our stubborn will, we shove him off the throne. And as a result, our hearts become hardened. Rend your hearts, not your garments. Why did the Jews rend their garments? As a sign of grief. And so what Joel is saying is rend your heart. Your heart's become hardened by demanding its own way. Allow your heart to be torn open once again. In other words, grieve your sin and your obstinacy. Get rid of your stony heart that's keeping you from the Lord and others, and take instead on a heart of flesh, a tender heart, a heart that responds to God, that surrenders itself in favor of God's will, trusting that God's will is always for our best. But the real question is, do we believe? Or I should say, let's make it more pointed, and this is to me as well. Do you believe in the generous, abundant love of God for you? And that if you live into his dreams, into his will rather than your own, trusting that his will is always for our best, will you find fulfillment and ultimate joy? If you believe, it makes that surrender easier. And Jesus' command to be his disciple, to deny ourselves daily, to pick up our cross and follow him, is the sign of trust in this God of love. I personally have to do this daily because my stubborn will has to be submitted to God, or I'm off to the races on my own, in my own power, often hitting the wall until I realize I started my day off on the wrong foot. I need to submit to God first thing in the morning so my day starts off right. And it doesn't have to be in a lengthy, elaborate prayer, but a prayer where my clear intent is to give myself and my day to God, to be about his purposes and his will and not my own. And it's not that my will doesn't rear its nubby little head throughout the day and want to take over, and I have to set it aside once again. But the point is this: I want my life to be fruitful and fulfill the purpose for which God placed me on this earth at this time. And if that's the case, I need to surrender. I need to give up. And we have the choice. Give up and say yes to God's will, or to say no. We can go either way. And the freedom of God's love allows us to choose. But that is an awesome, maybe awful responsibility, because what we decide determines in great part our destiny. Lent is a great opportunity to really take a hard look at our lives and ask the tough questions of ourselves. Do we really love God? Do we really trust him? Do we believe he wants our good? So often I hear people say, well, if I give myself away, if I give myself to the Lord, then I'll lose myself. But what do we lose? It's only the parts of ourselves which need to go to begin with, to be pruned in order to have further growth and true lasting joy. We lose those parts of us that are displeasing to God because they hurt us and our relationship with Him and each other. Our trust, on the other hand, must be the kind that says to God, come what may, good or bad, victory or suffering, I know that you are with me. I trust in your goodness and good intentions for me that will never fail. And isn't that the guarantee of Jesus at the ascension when he promises to his disciples, I will be with you always until the end of time? The good news is when we give up, whatever circumstances he allows us to face, we are never alone, never without his presence, love, and grace. Whatever we give up, whatever we surrender, is nothing compared to what we gain. We gain a deeper union with the one for whom our hearts long, and the one alone who can satisfy them. We gain a greater peace because we're placing all things with trust into God's most capable hands. We gain a fuller joy that Jesus said, no one can take away from you. Eye has not seen, ear has not heard, nor has it dawned on the mind of men and women what God has prepared for those who love him. Let us make our Lent really count. Give up. Give up yourself to him as you fast, as you pray, as you give alms. Do it consciously as a way of giving yourself over to the Lord. Begin every morning with a brief prayer like this. Lord, I trust in you. I give my life to you. I give my day to you. Direct me to do your will. Come what may. I belong to you, and you belong to me. Give yourself entirely to him and see what he makes of you and your life in these 40 days. You can only gain by giving up. I'm giving up this Lent. How about you?